Okay, hello there, everybody. So, um, yeah, our toolbox that we were working on in class the other day, basically what I've done is I've stripped away everything that we did since we don't really have a book for this stuff, to kind of redo it here so you've got a reference. And what I'm going to be doing is, I've got it all loaded in NDO, so the color map's already been created and all of that stuff that we did. But what I'm going to do is create some lines for my drawers, create some nuts for the handles and also for along these guide rails there. And down here in the wheels, I'd like to have a little inset detail to really help differentiate where the metal and the plastic separates. And gonna have like an inset handle right here. Probably hold off and do that in class as opposed to on this particular video. And let's see, that might be all the detail that I'm going to add to this. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really think of anything else that I need to do. But between those things, we're basically going to end up covering the bulk of what you can do with NDO, and you just kind of keep going from there. So a couple things I've pulled up Google Images because it is always so helpful to take a look at some toolboxes. Whenever you start working on a texture project, a material project, you want to take a look at your at what they really look like. So like this pink one, purple one, whatever that is. If I take a closer look at this, we can start to see some of the things that I'm wanting to try to do. Maybe not with this image. It doesn't seem to. Well, it kind of zooms in, but that's a terrible image. Let's find a better one. There's got to be a decent one here somewhere. Oh, how about this guy? Is that one a little itty bitty one too? Why, yes it is. Okay. I'm kind of trying to stay away from the, well, I guess I could look at one of the black ones. That would work too. I need a side angle, really. Let this guy, 1200 by 1200. Doesn't really match what we're doing, but we can get some detail from them anyway. So some things to notice here. Oops, I can't rotate this, can I? Oops, dang it. Alright, so here's the guide rail. So you can see that there's some nuts and there's some kind of attachments inside the guide rails. Our model doesn't have this part of the guide, just this inner part. And if we really wanted to get overly adventurous about it, we could even add in these alphas right here. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to add some nuts right in there. And you can see this differentiation between our metal and our plastic. Now, I don't want our metal area to be quite that inset, but I do want like a grooved line around there to really help differentiate as we're separating from those things. And a lot of these handles kind of have like hexagon bolts on them, or hexagon nuts, or let's see, how's this guy look? Oh, maybe this guy's pretty cool. Let's take a look at him. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit. Well, let's zoom in more. Okay, I can't really see much there. Kind of looks like hexagon, or it could be rivets, either way. I'm going to just make something and kind of let the player of the game fill in the rest for what it might be. One thing with when we're doing normal map stuff is we can't get really small, and these handles here happen to be really quite small as far as the nut detail that we'd be putting on them. So we got to be careful there. There's only so much detail I'm going to be able to put in there. Alright, so let's go ahead. I'm going to move 3D off to the side. Let's turn on the template so I can see my template. Give it a second. There we go. And where I'm going to be putting the nuts is going to be on these handles that are down in this area. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that. And I'm going to turn off the template again, bring up a new layer, and I'm going to create a hexagon shape. So I'm going to use my polygon tool, and I'm going to use my grid here as an outline. So I'll just go zoom. Notice I'm not actually trying to size this to actually fit in there at the moment. I'm just making a shape, and then once I have this shape made, I can resize it and do whatever I want with it. So there I've got my shape. I'll go with a Shift F5 and fill this with white. Now, if the nut on this were actually this big, I could go ahead and cut out this inner part and have like another normal map detail in there for where the bolts is actually coming through the nut and things like that. And I could have another area around here. I could do a circle with maybe some gray where the washer is. But this is going to be shrunk down to like 3 by 3 pixels, and all of that detail would be entirely lost and washed out. So I'm just going to leave it at this kind of shape right here. And with this shape select done like that, I'm going to go ahead go to my transform movement stuff. I've got my show transform controls is turned on. Let's zoom in on this guy some with Control Plus. I'm going to hold down my shift and I'm going to start shrinking this thing down. I need to get it down to about 3 by 3. 4 by 4 will work. It's a little large. 3 by 3 is probably going to be the best. And you can see this is a little itty bitty thing. And if I keep zooming in on it, you can see that it doesn't even have that original hexagonal shape anymore. Which it's at this point where it's kind of like, oh, maybe I should have just made a rectangle so that way I don't have that little knob sticking off of it. But I wanted to go ahead and do that bigger detailed version so that you could have an idea of how to approach some of these things. Now, if I had erased some stuff inside there, all of that detail, there's just not enough pixels in here for that kind of detail. Okay, so let's go ahead and position this guy somewhere. So let's hit a check with my 3 by 3 size, and there's what we end up with, that little plus. And, what do you know, I happen to be pretty darn close to one of these handles as it is. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my arrow keys and move it down to maybe there-ish, right about there. Looks pretty good. Do a Control C, Control V, and I'm going to move this one over to here-ish. Yeah. Control V again. Let's move this one up. Let's get this side. Yeah, right about there. Another Control V. Okay, yeah, maybe right about there. That looks, yeah, pretty good. Let's see if I can find the other ones. I think so I've got 2 of them done. Let's see, this is going to be 2 more. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's a total of 6. So here's another 2. Alright, well, let's just Control V. There it is. Let's move it over to right about here. Good enough. Control V. And then I'm going to merge all these layers in just a minute. Okay, so basically you see the process here. I'm just kind of doing copy and paste on these pieces and positioning them where I want. I think I want there. So we'll be back once we get all these positioned. Okay, so I've got my little dots out there. I mean, I'm kind of reluctant to even call them bolts or nuts or anything like that. They're dots. It's not even good dots. They're little pluses. They're these white things right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and select these layers that I just done. Let's put them all on the same layer. So I'll just right click, merge these layers down onto one, and I'm going to go ahead and give this layer a name. I'm going to call this handle bolts. I think that sounds like a cool name. I'm going to turn off my template. Now that I've got them positioned, I don't really need it. And with my handle bolts layer selected, let's go ahead and convert all of this stuff we have into normal map information, which it does like so. And if we then, let's refresh. My D-do just like 3-do just wigged out on my other screen here. There we go. Okay, so now if we take a look, you can see that at the edge of each one of these handles we have something there. Now, does it look like a nut or a bolt or anything like that? Well, not really so much, but our goal here isn't, a lot of the stuff that we do is just to get the player to say, hey, there's something there that looks about right to me. And the player just kind of moves on from there. A couple things with using a 3-do. If I hold down the shift key and the right mouse button, I can move my light around. I think I forgot to mention that in class. I tend to forget such things. And as I do so, you can see the details of these little bolt things on the handles. And if we zoom way in, they don't look right. If I go down like this and hover around, they look all kinds of weird. Yeah, normal mapping is not in any way intended to replace. Well, let me rephrase that. Normal mapping is not intended to work up really, really close. Really, really close, what you want is mesh detail. You want it modeled. But in this situation, this is going to do what I want it to do just fine. And I could play around with some of these things, maybe change a few settings on some of this. Although, to be honest with you, I'm kind of happy with how it looks. But maybe I'll change the bevel. Let's try an outer bevel. And you can see what that does. I like the inner bevel better. I could try some other stuff, maybe an emboss. Okay, that one actually looks kind of neat. What if we lower our size on the emboss and drop it down maybe like 2 or something like that? Yeah, that actually looks pretty good there. That looks better than the original one. Once again, some of this looks a little off if you look at it from the right angle or whatever, but if you just like, say right about here, this looks pretty cool. And that's really kind of the point of normal mapping, is to have it look pretty cool as the player is playing the game, and to possibly add some slight detail here and there. Okay, so I'm actually happy with how those came out. Unusual. I don't know how many times I've made these and hate them every time, but yeah, this time I must have done something right this time. Hit on it the right time, the right way this time. All right, so I've got my those bolts in there. So next, what I want to do is I'm going to go after the drawer detail over here, and let's take a look. Let's bring up Google Images again. Apparently I closed it, so let me bring up another one. Google Images. There we go. Let's go with Toolbox. I probably wanted wheels. Oh well, this will do. Yeah, I wanted wheels. Let's go wheeled toolbox, something like that. Okay, let's make this tool chest. Let's make it a tool chest. Here we go. Okay, so looking at some of these, some things to kind of notice. The drawers get bigger as they go farther down. Basically, they store heavier stuff the farther down they go. Alright, that makes sense, I think. Well, yeah, it does. Other thing to notice is that there's really not a gap between these drawers. They're kind of like... yeah, okay, that sound didn't really help explain what I was after, but, like, this looks like a model, actually. Why is it so fuzzy? Okay, somebody... Okay, fine. Somebody's account got suspended, cool. But yeah, see how there's really no gaps between the drawers in a toolbox. Now that's not necessarily true for all things. What if we did like a wheeled, I don't know, hobby chest? You can buy these types of things from, like this thing. Well, even that, the drawers are. There's really no gaps. Now this wicker one, there's gaps. Okay, so what was the point of all that? Well, we need to decide, do we want gaps or not? I don't, so I'm not going to make gaps in mine. There's a couple ways to do, or let me create a new layer. I'm going to click that. I'm going to create a new layer. So there's a couple of ways that we can actually approach this. Let me zoom out so I can see this better. One would be to use box select and kind of measure our drawer and get things positioned from there. Well, how could we measure our drawer? Well, right over here is the section that has the front of this, and this is that drawer opening right there. So I could use that, right? And that'll work. That'll work just fine. However, I'm going to kind of take the long way on this, because I think it's going to give us an opportunity to practice some other things as well. So let me zoom in on this area right in here. can't like get the whole thing selected at once, which is moderately annoying, but I guess I'll be okay. Let's see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab from over there and I'm going to drag out. And these are from my rulers, in case you're wondering, well, where'd you get that from? So I've got my rulers on my view, rulers, and then you can just come over to your ruler, hold down mouse button and drag out. And I'm just going to place these things here. And you know, they don't necessarily have to be placed right there, or they can be kind of placed wherever you want, but I'm going to kind of try to line up like that. And that's going to become this groove that I'm going to put down the side of this thing. And kind of play around with some stuff here. So let's go ahead. And this is going to allow me, and part of the reason I'm doing this is also going to allow us to erase some stuff as we go, as we're like finalizing everything. So I'm going to bring up my paintbrush. 28 is way too big. I'm going to do you at like maybe, what do you think, 2 pixels? Yeah, I want it to be a hard brush. That looks good. Maybe 3 pixels. Let's stay at 2 pixels. Let's not get overly excited here. And I'm going to do a test just to kind of see how it looks and then go from there. So 2 pixels, everything looks good. Alright, so I'm going to come out here and get on one of these lines here and just hold down shift. I'm going to paint straight down to there. Okay, I see this one can't really go over. That's cool. I'll try not to. And you know, one could argue that I don't really need the rulers, that I could have eyeballed this, and yes, I could have right there to the edge. I don't really want to go over. Okay, so let's go ahead and clear some stuff. View, let's see, clear guides, twink, which were my ruler guides that I'd drawn out there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this layer real quick with Control J. And all I'm doing here is I'm just trying to get an idea. Does this sizing feel right? Is this going to be doable? Whatever. So with my copied layer right there, I'll go ahead and convert this to normal map information. You can see it's raised. If I bring it over here, you can see our raised line right there. You know, maybe we want it raised, maybe we don't. I don't know. I kind of don't, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that from bevel to a groove. And my groove beveling I'm going to make as a groove. You can see what that has done. Very sharp grooving. Maybe let's cut our size down some, maybe to a 3. Let's increase our smoothness a little bit so we have a nice smooth transition on there. Now with that smoothness, that would probably look best on like panel lines or something like that. But I don't know, I just kind of wanted a little bit of smoothness on this. I'm going to drop it down to 1. Let's refresh that. Okay, so there we go. We've got those lines in there. And basically what that has now shown me is that, yes, I am okay with that size of 2 pixels. That was actually the whole point of this, was to see, well, how is this going to look when I get in there? Is this going to be what I want? And I can say, yes, that's what I want. Okay, nice. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that work. Boink. Do I want to? You know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to keep that. Okay, so I'm going to say no. And I'm going to rename this. There we go. I'm going to rename this vertical drawer edges. That's what I'm going to call that. Okay, so let's go back into layer 1 right here. I'm going to turn layer 1 back on. This goes back to that information. And let's bring layer 1 there it is. I was like, where's my lines? Okay, so there's my lines. So where did I just put layer 1? Oh boy, layer 1 went inside this group. Get out of that group, layer 1. Seriously. There you go. Okay, so I want it like right there, right in between those. Okay, so those lines, actually let's just do Control A. Let's select everything, delete those lines. I don't want those lines. I'm going to bring my template back up, and And so I can kind of see where my drawer starts. And I'm going to make a vertical line and then just start going from there. And I'm going to use the sculpting tools inside. So I'm going to, I'm talking too fast here. I'm just going to make some vertical lines and I'm going to place them. That's what I meant to say. So yeah, it didn't really make sense, but that's what I meant to say. So I've got my paintbrushes on. I'm set to the 2 that I liked. So let's kind of zoom in here a little bit. So I'm going to make a line. I'm not worried about where. I'm just making a line from here to here. Looks pretty good. Okay, so that will cover up there somewhere. Okay, now I need a line down here somewhere. Once again, I don't care because we're going to edit these once we've converted them into normal information. So let's go. I knew that was going to happen. Let's go there. Okay, cool. Which that line is also going to be the top for the next drawer, so I need another line for the bottom of that drawer somewhere, don't care where. Right about there. So what, I'm down to this drawer, so I need 2 more lines to finish off my drawers. Okay, I went too much. Okay, so I'm going to put 1 line here. Stop it. And 1 line. And 1 line here. Oops, quit it. And 1 line there. So I've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drawers. One of them is already defined, so I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. Good. So I've got my 5 lines. So let's go ahead and convert this. I'm going to call this, let's get into here. I'm going to go with horizontal drawer edges. Alright, let's convert this like so. Let's get rid of our template like so. And where did my horizontal drawer edges go? What are you guys doing? Groove. Okay, it went all the way around. That was weird. Okay, so I'm trying to go back far enough to not be in this mode. I have no idea what it just did with my horizontal drawer edges. And apparently this is as far back as I can go. Okay, so I'm going to chuck that. And let's see, horizontal drawer edges, you're gone. Don't know what happened. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer and try this again. That was weird. Okay, so I need 5 lines, so I'm just going to go ahead and make my 5 lines. So I'm going to go from like right here to shift 1. That line's too big, but that's okay. And I'll go ahead and put number 5 up here somewhere. Number 5, there we go. Okay, so I've got that. Let's turn off my template layer. Okay, I have this layer selected. Let's go ahead and do this again. There we go. Yeah, I don't know what happened last time. I'm going to go with a groove. Kind of duplicate some of the settings I had before. What was it, like 3? I'm thinking. And I gave them like a softness of 1. Let's see, maybe drop this size down a little bit further. Instead of 3, let's go with a 2, maybe. Alright. Let's see, we could probably drop our contrast down a little bit. Let's drop our, I'm going to drop my opacity down some, kind of smoothing this out so it's not quite as harsh. There we go. So here's what I've got now. All right, so now what I've got to do is I've got to kind of reposition these lines so that they're in a spot that I actually want. So like this guy right here, he needs to go straight up some. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to go back to our, we're going to toggle sculpt mode, and I'm going to use a box select. I'm going to select this region right here, which is that. Go to my movement, and I'm going to use my arrow keys because that way I guarantee I'm moving only vertically. Let's go maybe like four button presses. Let's refresh. And it's moved up a little bit. Let's see here. Alright, so let's go ahead and move it a little bit more, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that one. Okay. So now you can kind of see where it's being positioned up there. Looking pretty good. I'm liking that positioning. I could go up maybe a little bit more. But I want to leave room here, I'm thinking, for like the name of this. But yeah, while we're here, let's go up one more and refresh that. And that one more like should hardly make any difference, but there we go. Okay, so I like that. All right, so let's go to this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm still in sculpt mode. I'm going to bring up my box select again. Do a control D, deselect that one. And let's select this region, that one. Go to my movement and let us move that one. Oops, wrong button. I'm over here. See how that looks. Just kind of start trying to find this position I want. So you can see we've dropped it down some. Let's move it some more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see how that one looks. Let's try a couple more here. 1, 2, 3. Let's see how that one comes out. Okay, kind of like that spot, I think. So let's go ahead and move our next one. Let's select that, and then we'll go ahead and move that part, bring this over so I can see it. Tempted to like just delete it, but as the, oh well. All right, so let's move this guy. In fact, I probably could just delete this one. But let's put it right about here. Let's see what we've got now. You can see it's right down there. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and select this one here and kind of start the process of moving that one out of the way. Oops, wrong button. So let's do this again. Control D. Let's do that. That button. Move that one way down there. All right. We'll refresh. Box select again. Get this guy. Move it. Right about there, I think. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe we could go one more. With one more. There we go. Alright, so now we're down to these up here. Whoop. Get that out of my way. Let's move this up. There we go. So let's go to movement. Let's grab this guy right here. Or, I'm sorry, let's go to selection. So move this down. Let's see, what do we have? Refresh. Not bad. Let's grab this guy, move him like 2 or 3. I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4. Refresh that one. Dropped it down, and then let's take you. Oops. Select. Let's take you and move you. Maybe right about there. I don't really, I mean, I guess it could just move off. I guess we don't even need that one now that I really think about it. Okay, so yeah, let's just go ahead and delete that one. There we go. And there we go. So we've got our drawers in place. Alright, so that's not bad. So yeah, I know I said that I was going to add rings down there and nuts inside there, but based on what we've done so far, so instead of doing a polygon, I could do a circle selection down there. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah. Okay, let's move this. Let's minimize that. I'm going to rename that to horizontal drawer edges. Horizontal drawer edges. Like so. Turn our template back on, and let's go see if we can find those wheels. Let's go find the wheels. They've got to be here somewhere. Let's zoom out. Okay, these are probably the wheels. What do you think? They're round? They must be the wheels. Okay, so yeah, those must be the wheels. That would make sense, I would think. A couple things about the wheels. If we remember, when we were making our color ID map, we were using our, what were we using? We were using face mode, if you remember that. And so that allowed us to select by face, or I'm sorry, by UV shell, that area in there. So what I'm kind of thinking is this is the plastic wheel, probably. I would kind of like to know where some of these other parts are that I'm looking for. Zoom out a little bit more. So there's some more plastic wheels, probably. This might be a load up Maya and take a look. So let me pause this real quick. Okay, so here we are. Let's take a look at some stuff here. Let's bring up our UV editor. Once again, like I mentioned in class, this is where it's really nice to have labeled things. But, yeah, whatever. Let's go to our shell mode. Let's grab. Aha. So there you go. You can see that those. Okay, so let's take a look here. So all the round pieces look to be those inner metal shells. Those flat ones are black plastic wheels. So we got 4 there and 4 there. So now I know what I'm after. I want to check one other thing while I'm in here so I don't have to load Maya again. This piece is that one there, and that one there. Okay, so I know where those are. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll just minimize Maya on the off chance I do have to come back in. So these are the areas that I kind of want to play around with. So let's zoom in on them. Let's see here. Okay, not really sure why Control Plus is not working. Oh, I probably needed to click on it. There we go. Go team. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I kind of want to use pretty much like right around the edges of this thing. Let's let's try some stuff. I'm gonna try, so I'm gonna make an elliptical selection there. Let me transform my selection. I don't even know if this is really a good approach to what I want to do, but I'm going to try it. Okay, I want right in the middle, dang it. Okay, I'm going to go with that right there. Let's see what this does. Let's do an edit. Where you at? Edit. You're right there. Edit. Let's do a checkbox first. And let's let's put ourselves on a new layer. There we go. Let's do an edit. Let's do a stroke on this. I'm thinking 1 pixel probably. We're white, yeah. Center it. Let's do an OK. Let's do a template. Turn the template off. Let's convert this to a normal map. I mean, I'm not thrilled with what I've got. I'm going to duplicate my layer. Let's do that. Let's do normal map. Alright, what happened? Can I find it? Alright, yeah, I'm not actually seeing anything out here, and I think it's because those outer bumps aren't really on what I'm after. Let me do this. Let me chuck that. Let's just delete it. Let's bring you back. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to normal map you again. And this time, let's change you to a groove. That's a pretty neat looking rivet. But if I try to shrink that down, it's just not going to work. Let's decrease our size, maybe a 2. This, I want it softer. Something like that. What does this look like? I can actually find this out here on my model anywhere. Okay, it doesn't look like it's any of those wheels. So if you want your light to go up and down, it's Shift Control, right mouse button, by the way. Okay, there it is. That's got to be it right there. Yep, that's it. Okay, so there you can see what was done with that. Subtle detail, yeah, it is. But you can see where we've created this slight groove around there, and then this is outset like that. You know, if I want that, I'm not convinced that is what I want. Let's try. Let's see. Let's try outer. Let's see how that looks. You know, not really so cool. Now, if I were to resize some stuff, I think I would get closer to what it is that I'm actually wanting. Let's do this. Let's unsoften that. So that's giving me that inner bevel. That's not too bad. Alright, let's try this inner bevel. Let's slant down. See, that's doing that. It's kind of the same as a groove. And here you can see what's going on here. You can see that groove that's being placed in there. To compare, you don't have that groove over here, right? So that's kind of what I'm after right there. Is just some kind of normal map detail that's going to separate this from the other, from these two areas a little bit better. I could go to this nut here and add some stuff, but I'm not going to. Okay, so yeah, there we go. Let's see. I see down here that my normal map gets a little, okay, it looks good. I'm trying to decide if there's anything that I want to like erase off of here. I think I'm pretty good with how things have turned out. Kind of tempted to erase this top section, but I kind of like it too, so I'm going to leave it. That's what I'm going to do. Might actually want to normal map down there, but I don't think so. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so there's all except for those inner ones, and copying that circle to the rest of my wheels. I now have the normal map detail I want, except for the handles that I'm going to put on the side. We'll do that. We'll do that in class. Okay, so any questions, just feel free to let me know.